Well, welcome to the Soul Tapes podcast. My name is Adam Cruz,
My name is Antonio Reyes.
and we are back. Shout out to Pastor Jeff
go.
D for joining us these past couple episodes. Really dope conversation. So if you haven't had a chance to hear those yet, definitely go back and check them out.
I love it. It was such a great conversation because I feel like there were some very honest moments, and we didn't even plan about talking the topic that we're talking, so that was the best.
Yeah.
That was the best.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was such a good conversation and just flowed. It was dope. Really enjoyed that. So, it's heating up out here, huh? It's getting hot. We're getting close to summertime. So, how's it out there? How's it out there for you?
It's warm. I tell you, that's warm, and I can't be outside for too long. Even in my house, at night, it's warm. So, and then right now, like when the electricity it goes up, so you have to be careful.
Yeah.
We have a full house, so when we turn on the air, I'm like, let's be specific. Let's try to like, 'cause I ain't paying no $300 bill, on light. It's just not. But anyways,
You got to get creative. You got to.
how about Southern California?
Dude, we're on the second floor in our apartment building, so the heat. It's like some days it's not too bad, but then like right when it's in the peak of the day,
Yeah.
oh man, like I'm just moving
Yeah.
around, walking around, and I'm like drenched in sweat. It's ridiculous.
And you're sweating.
Yeah, I sweat. That's a curse of my family. So we sweat like crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like walking around with a
Yeah.
towel, just like
That's
dude,
funny.
it's bad. It's bad, man. But
I get you, bro. You have to take a couple showers during the day.
Exactly. No, that's totally true. So part of what we wanted to talk about today. Wait, what did we want to talk about today?
You know what? It's an interesting topic. I think we don't want to get into the political thing or like, there's so many opinions about what's going on here in California. We're opening up again.
Oh yeah.
You know what? This is the interesting thing. I never thought that we would arrive to this place. I never thought. Like I was like, dude, when?
Yeah.
If you would have asked me last year, I was like, this is endless. Like
Taking too long.
this is not gonna end. Yes, and today, I mean, at least over here, and where I live, you can. It has to do with masks, right? So you can finally kind of like go if you want to go into a store or in an indoor place. You don't have to wear a mask no more if you're vaccinated. So it was interesting, to see like today I forgot my mask, so I had to go inside to a store, and I was like, this is weird. Like, am I doing something wrong right now? Like, am I inside and like I have no mask? Like. But no, it's a very interesting dynamic, coming back to, for lack of better words, to the normal, what it was before, per se.
Yeah, man. It's same thing for us. Like, at the gym that we go to, we've been like wearing a mask for feels like over a year already. And so
I don't know how do you guys do it to work out with a mask.
Oh gosh,
honestly.
Yeah, my wife Vanessa was like. She's like, I think I wasn't working out as hard, or it was harder because of the mask, but now I don't have the mask on. She's like, oh, I can work out better now. I'm like, to a certain extent, I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, it just feels weird in general not having to wear one. So I got so used to it.
Yeah.
Now I feel weird, but now we're able to kind of go in and just do our workouts. It's really nice. So yeah, man.
Are we ready to go back? That's the question. Are we ready?
Honestly, man, I don't know if I'm ready yet.
We have some PTSD, bro.
For real. I'm like, I got so used to working from home. Like, there's weeks where throughout the week I barely leave the house, and in some ways it's good, some ways it's not so good. But my job where I work just announced, an official like coming back to work day, and I'm like, I'm I'm like dreading that day to have to be in the office all day.
You know, this is important. Let's take it little by little. I want to touch bases on this because I think that um when the pandemic started and when we went on lockdown, I think for some of us, at least for me, it took months for me to develop a healthy rhythm. It took me months for me to develop a new way to feel that I was achieving something, or I was like, accomplishing something. Then finally we
Yeah.
go all the way around. Here we are, June, yeah, June. I feel like it was July already.
Yeah, June.
But we're here in June, and then we have to go back to, they trying to go back to what it was, right?
Yeah.
So it's like I finally developed certain rhythms in my life that now I have to let go. Like
Yeah.
I developed certain rhythms in my life that make me feel accomplished, and I was executing pretty well. I was being effective, and I have to let them go. So in this new dynamic is like, we have to wait, like, are we gonna let go of everything that we learned in this season, or for the sake of going back to what it was, or are we gonna embrace what we learned as a good thing, some of those things, and are
Yeah.
we gonna keep carrying those things for the future? And I feel like that's kind of something that you were saying, right? Like, you were talking about how you're not ready to go back to work. We were talking before this whole thing, how you don't feel like you're ready, because you already feel like, and I'm assuming this, you can expand on this. I'm assuming that you already feel like you're effective in your job, not being
Yeah.
present at the office. You accomplish your tasks. You can teach. You can do many things without being present in the office. Why should we go back to what it was? That's just some thoughts.
Yeah, and for me, it's like, and I do understand. The argument is like, in the fall we're gonna have students back on campus. We're gonna be teaching in person. So I'm just like more open to like a hybrid option or something, or at least during the summertime to
Yeah.
maybe like be in a couple days a week, maybe not every day. So, that's the hard part where I'm just like, do it just it's a completely different rhythm, and you get used to being in a rhythm and then having to change. There's a lot of perks to being able to just not have to drive to work, not have to, be there for a certain amount of time. And, I was talking to my boss and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
nice to be in a meeting and, right away, maybe afterwards get to kind of clean your apartment a little, clean, take out the trash during the day, like do all of these things that you don't have to do like when you get home from work. Cause that, by sometimes
Yeah.
we get so exhausted from the day that we don't get to take care of our home, or take care of ourselves and go on, get to
Yeah.
the gym and do things like that. So, all of those things, it's like it cause I remember for me, like there was seasons where I just felt so exhausted from, trying to
Yeah.
stay on top of everything. Where it was just kind of nice to have this time to be able to not have to rush everywhere, not have to pack, 3 bags when I leave my
Yeah.
house to go to the gym and to, go wherever else after. So,
Yeah.
it's just a different lifestyle, man. It's crazy. It's gonna be an
Completely.
interesting.
I Yeah, I agree. I feel like also, for some of us that um we're trying to be better our spiritual disciplines, even in
Yeah.
that aspect. You came out of, like, we came into a pandemic where we had to develop a new rhythm in our spiritual walk, right?
Yeah.
And then now we're getting out of it, and now we have to develop again another rhythm of spiritual walk, because now our schedule's getting packed, our schedule's getting, more full.
Yeah.
We and the more full, and I don't want to say more full because perhaps it was already full, but now we have in LA, in Southern California is different than Northern California. In
Yeah.
Southern California, you have to take into consideration driving. You go from from one place to another place, considering the traffic and all those things. So I think that adds to it. Like, that adds to the stress. The tiredness and all those things. Now I have to find a way to keep pursuing my relationship with God. Um, and I think that's a little challenging. Like, for this new season that we're coming in.
Yeah, man, and I think too, it's even like realizing how much like busier like even the weekends are getting because everyone's throwing parties and there's a lot of things going on, connecting, going out, and it's
Yes.
challenging to kind of balance all of that where there's an excitement to that because you get to hang out with your friends and go and do stuff, but there's also the other side of it, like where now I'm waking up on a Monday and I'm actually like exhausted from the weekend because I was so busy.
Yeah.
So it's finding that
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
balance of being able to say like, hey, what can we commit to, what can we not, and also learning where to kind of replace our margins because I think balance before maybe we weren't so good
Yes.
at it, and now it's changed because now I think we feel it even more. And I don't know if it's because just we're getting another year older or what, but I know for
Yeah.
myself, I definitely feel it more where I'm like, man, I can't just be busy all weekend and expect to be ready to go on Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I think one of my concerns, for us, including myself into this whole thing, is that we go back to what it was
Yeah.
and still being busy and still being stressed and still being, um in this unhealthy rhythm, and we never learn anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that we came into a pandemic, that we slowed down, we had to like press the brake, and to evaluate many things. And if we go back to what it was, that's not being wise,
Yeah.
that's not being wise. So I think for me, I'm trying to be intentional and to not go back to what it was, but I actually embrace the things that I learned, and to try to develop new rhythms in my life that are gonna adapt to this new dynamic. There's coming up, like I cannot stop it. So I think that let's not try to go back to what it was, and we didn't never learn anything through this whole year and a half almost, so I think it's important for us to take a look at that, take a look at what the things that we learn, even make a list. I'm just being over here very, type A, make a list, but what I'm saying
Yeah.
is like, make it real, make it tangible, so that you don't you don't have the temptation just to default to what it was.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I saw like there was like a tweet that someone posted that was like, we didn't have this like come to Jesus moment last year just to, this year now go back to this like crazy busy schedule. Uh
Yeah.
and it's true. Like I think for myself it's hard cuz like, some parts of my life have shifted, where I'm kind of in this place of transition. So, I graduated with my MBA
Yeah.
my MBA in May. So yeah, like that
Congratulations, by the
yes,
way.
thank you. So, so that's obviously like something I no longer have to commit to as far as like doing homework and doing all these things. So now
Yeah.
but it also opens me up.
Lucky.
I know. I know you. And how is that going for you, by the way?
Oh man. I think my last two classes out, it was a little rough
Yeah.
because I was uninterested on the classes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was just going through it. I think this class I like it a little bit more, and I'm just going back to a rhythm. But I'm grateful that it's not as hard as I thought. It is hard enough, but it's not impossible. But
Mm.
anyways, that's just where I'm at right now. I'm trying to figure out with homework.
Yeah, man. Yeah, trust me. I know it all too well. So, and that's the
Yeah.
thing is like to me like transition right now has been like the key word for me this year is I was like gearing up for it, as I was gonna graduate, and I feel like I've entered the season of transition, even though when I'm thinking about transition for me, it's a lot of it is like career wise and just like focusing my attention on kind of more into like, my businesses with like music and the clothing and the podcast and
Yeah.
just creating content, and so for
Yeah.
me, it's been hard because it's like there's days where I want to go hang out, but I know I should probably stay
Yeah.
home and like work and do more things because now I don't have homework. So,
Yeah.
because the thing is, what's interesting for me is like it's easy to say no when it's like homework or something like, but when it's like your own
Yeah.
projects or your own things that you want to invest into, a lot of times we always put other things above that. And it's easier to say yes to hanging out with a friend or going to an event. that you maybe don't have to be at because you're avoiding maybe some of the projects and works that you have to do. So that's something that I've been challenging myself within these past like couple weeks is like, hey,
Yeah.
let me stay home and let me continue to put in the work because man, like it is
Yeah.
a lot of work to invest into yourself and to do the things that, building a brand and whatever, that all that takes.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. I agree with you. I feel like that's and more for us, like I think we're social people, even though we have our introvert moments, but I
Yeah.
think we're such a social people, that it's not easy not to say no because that brings us life.
Yeah.
That like brings in us, and nurtures who we are and makes us
Yeah.
grow. So that's a complicated thing. And now like now that we can hang out, actually, now that we can just go to places, and it just
Yeah.
it requires quite a bit from us, and I think that uh I know, like I don't want to say I was living a life that it was not, they didn't have margins in life, they didn't have parameters, I don't want to say that, but at the same time I think I was able to do better. And I think
Yeah.
now in my life I want to be better at that. I remember hearing T Jakes talk about, when you have more responsibility you need to add more structure, right? So I think, to
Yeah.
me, I want to add more structure so that I can sustain more responsibility, because I do want more responsibility, but that responsibility can crush me into pieces if I don't have the necessary structure in my life, or to develop the necessary structure in my life. And I no longer want to live a life that is just vague, that
Yeah.
I want to make sure that now that I coming into this new season per se, I'm ready for it. I have developed the necessary disciplines that protects my priorities, that protects what it matters,
Yeah.
right? And also, gives room to add more stuff if I want to explore new stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, new hobbies, whatever it is, new opportunities. I'm also gonna start teaching in August. I'm gonna start teaching online. So that's
Nice.
a I actually teach before, but now it's gonna be more official. So it's a new thing too.
Dude, that's awesome. Yeah, so, for me, I think I'm really like big on the idea of like work hard, play hard. And I think
Yeah,
when we were like in our teens or even like early 20s, I think we valued a lot of our like time with friends and hanging out, and we were probably like we both were in school and doing different things. But I think as I've gotten older, I've realized that sometimes, and I kind of think this way because I'm a twin, so I'm always thinking about how can I like split my time equally. So sometimes I
yeah,
think
yeah,
we get messed up because we want to be able to like have as much fun for the same amount of time that I like put in work. So like one
yeah,
thing that used to really
yeah,
bother me is like, man, like I'm spending 8 hours of my day at a job in an office, and I only have like 5 hours to do whatever I want before I have to go to bed.
yeah,
And so that thought used to really mess with me because I'm like, man, like this sucks. Like,
yeah,
I want to be able to do more and like, have fun or go hang out
yeah,
with friends and still have time to go home and do whatever I want. And so
yeah,
I've realized that we can't get so fixated on that thought of, trying to have like, just all the fun that you want. Cause now, like, for me, I really
yeah,
assess hanging out and having fun in a different way where sometimes if it's not life giving, if it's not, with people that I care about, if it's not like, close friends or family, if it's not something that feels meaningful, sometimes it feels like a
yeah,
waste of time. And sometimes I'm like, man, like I can't
yeah,
afford to waste my time because I have so many other things that I could be doing. Uh, so
yeah,
so
yeah,
I
yeah,
think that's like the challenge now as I've gotten older is I realize like, some people say that their time is valuable. Uh, but for a lot of people, it really isn't because they go home and they don't have anything else to do. They're
yeah.
not investing in themselves. So they have all the time in the world.
Completely.
But for me, like I really believe that
Yeah,
my time is valuable. So I want to be more intentional. It
yeah,
doesn't mean that I make the right decisions all the time. So sometimes I need to learn to be more
yeah,
intentional with my yeses and be more
yeah.
intentional with like how I'm spending my time.
That's so good because actually, literally yesterday or 2 days ago, I was thinking about that. I'm obviously, for the ones who don't know, I came into a new season. I moved to the Northern California. And I'm exploring some new opportunities. Which one of those is helping my uncle run his business?
Yeah.
He has a landscaping business, so I'm trying to help him out. But also, I'm still working in my at my church. I'm still preaching. I'm still teaching. I'm still running which is we call it small groups, live groups
Yeah.
where we gather, we have good conversations. So I do have quite a bit of things going on in my life, and I'm gonna start teaching again. So, anyways, I was thinking on the other day, my uncle, obviously he's so focused on his business, he's running his business. He leaves his house like probably 5 in the morning. He comes back to probably 7 p.m. at night. He's so like he has a lot going on,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes he texts me, at 6 p.m. Hey, or yeah, they text me at that time, 5 p.m. Hey, can we talk? Can we do this? Can we talk about the business about this? And I feel bad sometimes because I'm like, man, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I don't have time right now. Like I can give you a window of my time, which I already set it up, and I also doing my master's degree. So I have homework I have to
Yeah.
study. So I have to be very careful on my yeses. And I was thinking, man, every minute of my life matters right now.
Yeah.
If I invested in the wrong thing, it might mess up my flow, my rhythm.
Yeah.
So it might sound like, okay, like you swear like you're
Yeah. So busy.
like, but it's not like yeah, but it does matter right now. Like I'm even setting up time to not do anything. I'm setting it up time to hang out with my wife.
Yeah.
I'm setting it up time to go and explore the city, because I need to get out. To me, that matters to me, because if not, I'm gonna get frustrated. I'm gonna get irritated. I'm gonna be depressed because I'm just working and doing things. So all those little things matter. So our time really does matter right now at this
Yeah.
point of our lives. So I was like, I'm gonna tell my uncle. I'm gonna tell him like, look, I don't want to sound like mean or egocentric, but every minute of my time matters. So if you want my time, we need to wrench some stuff, and yeah, even like financially, that matters. Like, eh, are we gonna come to an agreement when it comes down to that? Because I can't give you 2 hours of my day when I can use it in my homework, when I can use it to prepare for whatever project I have, just for free. It does matter. And I'm not saying that like charge for everything. That sounds pretty bad, but the reality is that it's important. It is really important for me.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think that's hard. That's a challenging part too, um, when it comes to maybe like non-traditional jobs or working, when you're in those places. Cause, it for some reason we have like this feeling like it feels bad to like say like feel that way. But in reality it's true.
Yeah.
Like you do have to be able to, because the thing is like I get conflicted in this area too, because there's times where people you're willing to like do a favor or help someone out, or you're really like willing to serve someone, but there's times where you want your time to be valued as well. So it's learning
Yeah.
that, and the more that you value your time and you see it as valuable, the more that people will respect your time and
Yeah.
value it. So I think there's a
Completely.
a place there for nuance where it's like you don't have to necessarily feel bad, but you need to know when you can
Yep.
give and when you can't, and that's really good that you're able to acknowledge that and see that.
Yeah, no, you know what? Can I read something to you? Pastor Noemi text Pastor Josh
Yeah,
this, and I just found it so good, and it says, gifting and ability do not provide a foundation for the future. If you don't have the restraint to say no to the unnecessary, you begin to cheat your future with things that are expensive today.
yeah,
you know so she's like, hey, your ability and your gifting, they don't build a foundation for your
yeah,
future. You need to learn how to say no, because if you don't say no, you're gonna begin to cheat your future with things that are expensive today. So I think that's important. I think like if we don't develop that, to me, I'm such a like peacemaker.
mm,
I'm trying to please everyone. That's not healthy. Sometimes.
yeah,
So I think that for me to say no is very it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me cringe. It's like, ah, man, am I too like, like I start overthinking. But no, like I need to learn how to do that because I need to invest my time in the things that matter to me right now. And so yeah, I mean, sometimes it's taking certain sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not getting those 100 extra bucks that you can make in working another 5 hours, or it's not getting that promotion per se, because if you invest another 2 extra days of your week that they're gonna give it to you,
Yeah.
sometimes it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's not worth. I would tell my wife, it's not worth my marriage. It's not worth my mental health. It's not worth my future because this is not necessarily something that I want to do. So at the end of the day, but because we live in such a hustle, money hungry society, sometimes we do whatever it takes. We sacrifice what really matters to us. And I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but sometimes that
Yeah.
bothers me.
No, totally. Yeah. So, like, when I think about what she was saying in that, message, uh, I think what the challenge is that sometimes we make decisions like, so it's this idea between like fear and wisdom. So,
Okay.
talking about making learning how to say no because those things that you're sacrificing is going to be expensive. I'm sure
Yeah.
it's not just about like spending money on unnecessary things. That could be part of it, but I
Completely.
think it's the
Yeah.
wisdom to know, you know, when to say yes, the wisdom to know when to say no, the understanding to say, hey, am I just saying yes out of fear because,
Yeah.
or am I not saying yes because of fear? Am I holding back because I'm just afraid, or am I holding back because I'm
Yeah.
wise enough to know I don't need to make that decision? And I think that's the really important thing, is that when you're navigating, that's the challenge. And I'm not saying like I have it all figured
Yeah.
out, but that's the battle. Especially when you're trying to
Yeah.
invest in different areas of your life, you have to ask yourself that question. Am I saying, hey, I really can't afford this right now, and that you're making a wise decision financially, or am I just
Yeah.
afraid to step into the new? And so those are two different things
Yeah.
that I think is really important. And it's true, like when you're just relying on gifts and talents, the problem is that if you don't develop the character to understand and just like to be able to make wise decisions, then you will waste a
Yeah.
lot of time. You will waste a lot of your ability, because just because you have gifts and talents doesn't mean you don't have to continue to put in the work to sustain a future and a
Completely.
foundation. So that's really good.
Yeah, and I think you point something out very interesting, right? It's not necessarily money, right? And I think the currency is different in different ways,
Yeah.
right? The currency that we use can be time, it can be our talent, it can be our gift, and obviously, it can be whatever it is, financial, but whatever it is, I think that the currency can be very different for all of us, for you it's something, for me it's something else,
Yeah.
so I think that's that's so good that you point that out, so I think right now that we're coming into this new season, hopefully, my desire, my prayer is that we have the wisdom, to navigate
Yeah.
this new dynamic, that
Yeah.
we can develop the necessary structures, the parameters that we need to build,
Yeah.
and then that we don't allow ourselves to fall into the temptation that things will come into place by themselves,
Yeah.
but that we have the control. Also, we have the power, and that's very important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think my last final thoughts, because we've kind of gone through a couple of different, topics, but I really think
Yeah.
it's important for us to talk about this idea of rest, because even though you might want to, we might want to accomplish a lot of things, or even just like for
Yeah.
myself going through this season of transition. What a mentor of mine pointed out to me the other day, he was like, "Hey, I think you need rest," and I was like, "Oh snap!
Mm.
I didn't expect him to say that." But, he was
Right.
just saying like, you've been doing a lot. You've kind of gone through a whole lot, in this past year. Like, hey, I think it's good to take a week, take a couple days, even just a day, just to kind of give yourself to rest. And for me, I think that was really important, because Also, just kind of reminds me to take some time to get kind of clear my mind a little bit. For me personally, like with this season of transition, there's a lot of things that I can invest my time into. And I think the great thing
Yeah.
about rest is it gives you like that fresh start, that clarity, to just really start to view things in a different way. And for me, that was something that I was like, man, yeah, I think he was right. That rest is really an important part of reaching our goals. Is that we're not going to just reach our goals just by work, but rest reminds us that we don't need to do this by ourselves. That we need to rely on God. That we need to reach out to people for support. And to be able to just have clarity when making wise and be able to make wise decisions. A lot of times, the decisions we make that are not wise is usually because we're not rested, we're not thinking clear. So I think that's something that's really important for us to take as we're kind of going about the rest of our year.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think you encapsulate everything. And I agree with you. I don't think that I want to add to that, but I think that's very important. Like we have the opportunity to add rest. I think in our faith we call it also Sabbath.
Yeah.
We can Sabbath. I think that's very important in this time. I was reading an author, and I can just go off on this subject, but he talks about how he is so intentional about his Sabbath that a day before he he turns off his social media.
Yeah.
He doesn't use his phone. He prays for his next day, which is the Sabbath, the moment that he's gonna rest.
Yeah.
And he goes, and go hikes or go do some exercise or go drink some coffee, whatever it is, something that brings him life. And he literally uses that day just to rest.
Yeah.
There's nothing that he's gonna do that requires work. So then we have to be more intentional about that. But anyways, I love it. Love this conversation. Are we ready?
I don't know if we're ready, man, but we got to get ready. So, yeah. I love it, man. I love it. Well, this is the Soul Tapes podcast. We'll see you guys next time.
And we out.
I just need peace. More blessings all over my knees. It's been a year. So many things that you wouldn't believe. I took a break, wanting to fade away. Now I'm just looking to change the game. No lights or cameras, only need action. Do what I want, cause I'll make it happen. I made mistakes, yeah, never been fake. Yeah, been broke, yeah, but God made a way. I found out all I was missing was leverage. Count it all up like it's lettuce. Afraid of where I could be headed for being myself and still not being accepted. Ooh, I seen a ghost. Told him to leave. We've been here before. I know what I need. Just leave me alone. Was feeling like I couldn't breathe. Hearing the cries of a nation so y'all could believe. Yo, the pressure been building up.